Every day with some flash, keeps no mileage. Fast lane sliding, boy off the lock, we don't watch no crashes. If it's 2 liters or less, we won't drive it.
So, let's take everything off this verse and play you them raw and just see how they sounded when they came to me. You'll notice here there's some chops here. This is radio edited for the purposes of YouTube.
I've been feeling like the player of the year, ain't nobody next to me. Probably rock this flash to the death for me. Only want the realest niggas to the left for me. Right hand next to me, sway tap flesh for me.
So the first thing that I notice when I hear this is there's a little bit of mud on these vocals that needs working with. Need to dip out some, probably around 200 is usually the place where the mud is occurring, but can also be helped just by making boosts like this. So the first thing I've used here is the Infinity EQ again.
Been feeling like the player of the year, ain't nobody next to me. Probably rock this flash to the death for me. Only want the realest niggas to the left for me. Right hand next to me, sway tap flesh for me.
So you see how that's just giving it a nice lift here, just adding a little bit of high mids and some high end there. As you can see, I've dipped out here just under 200 where you can see this peak happening. And then another little dip here as well at sort of 350 or something.
Keep the rest of them, I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way.
So just immediately sounds a lot cleaner, and that gives me a better base to work from. Moving on to my compression and my other processing that I've done on this channel here. Now for this, I'm using Virtual Mix Rack. Again, this is Slate, and I'm using a virtual channel, which is basically just a little bit of kind of analog emulation of a channel strip on a mixing desk. I've got a de-esser here. I've got the FG116, which is doing the bulk of the compression. And then I've got the FGS here doing some nice EQ touches on there. So let me turn all of these off and just go through one by one.
I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay.
So the effects of that is really subtle. It just adds a little bit of grit and a little bit of kind of heaviness in the low mids, I felt, but you might not notice the difference. This is really not necessary. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't. I'm a sucker for a little bit of analog warmth, you know, as we all are. Then we move on to the first de-esser in this chain here, and this is the FG-DS. And you'll see here that I'm using quite a bit of gain reduction on this range here, but then I'm mixing it in on 50% here. So it's kind of doing a lot, but then I'm mixing in half of the dry signal.
Keep the rest of them, I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May.
So just really nicely just taming some of those S's, and that's going to be important as we go into now compression and adding some more air with the EQs. You know, them S's are really going to poke through a lot more, so I like to get them tamed before we do anything else.
To the left for me, right hand next to me, sway tap flesh for me. Look like a map with this yellow gold pressed on me. We gotta get money so we don't rest on me. You look good, but I swear she look best on me. Free the real niggas lot, keep the rest of them. I've been trying.
So straight away you see how this compression is just pushing the vocal forward, taming the dynamics, making everything more up front. And I love this compression here. I use this on pretty much every track, as you will have seen in my previous videos. These are the setting that I'm using. It's a fast release, super fast release. Reasonably fast attack as well, and not a massive amount of gain reduction.
Same ones from way back when, trying to run it up. You wasn't with us in the kitchen with our
sort of 3 to 5 dB of gain reduction. Then we move on to the EQ that I'm using here, and I'm boosting about 2 dB up here in the high end, boosting another about 2 dB in the high mids, a little bit in the mids, and then I'm dipping a little bit in this kind of 200 region down here as well.
I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay. She know I'm player, but today I don't wanna play. You love me.
Yeah, so you hear it's just adding that little bit of clarity, a little bit of mid-range kind of sharpness and some air on there with that kind of high-end EQ as well. So we move on now to what I did on the actual bus here, because you'll see that's literally all I'm using on my main channel here. The rest of the processing is happening over here on the verse vocal bus. So I'm using another compressor here. It's very light, but it's compressing further here with the FG2A, a little bit more EQ. And then I'm using the Revival to add a little bit of air and some thickness as well down here.
Yellow gold pressed on me. We gotta get money so we don't rest on me. You look good, but I swear she look best on me. Free the real niggas lot, keep the rest of them. I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay.
So you hear that's pretty transparent. Like that's what I like about this compressor. You really can't hear too much what it's doing. It's not pumping. It's just, again, helping to bring the dynamics together so that when we put the instrumental back in, you'll hear that it's sitting in front of the beat, on top of the music, and it's poking out rather than, you know, being overridden by the instrumentation. Then we've got this other EQ here, the FGN. Again, boosting some high end, some high mids, quite slight, dipping a tiny bit as well down here in the low mids.
I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay. She know I'm player, but today I don't wanna play. You love making me know, bread, I got scared. They ain't know me back then, now they holiday. Guess the real back in style. I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay.
So adding a little bit more air and shimmer here with the shimmer dial, and then a little bit of thickness as well. Now you will hear, if you're hearing like I'm hearing, that we're adding way too much sibilance in with all of this kind of extra high end that we're adding. It's obviously going to bring the S's out and the sibilance and the sharpness of the vocal. And that's why now we're going to move on to the last thing in the chain here before we get to the reverbs and delays. And that is the E2 de-esser. This is one of my favorite de-essers. I use this on every vocal, and this is hopefully going to really help to tame and control those S's and those sharp sounds from all the high end that we've just added, basically.
Keep the rest of them. I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay. She know I'm player, but today I don't wanna play. She know I'm player, but today I don't wanna play. She know I'm player, but today I don't wanna play.
Yeah, so you hear how, this is how I like to work. So I had that first de-esser before everything else. I had a de-esser working here before we did any compression. And then we've added various things throughout, compression, EQ, and then we're putting the less de-esser on to control all the kind of high end that we've just added. Now, sometimes I do that slightly differently, and I might put that final de-esser just before some other EQ. So I might put another kind of boost of the high end after the last de-esser. But for this song and for this, for the purposes of this video and what we're doing with the Slate plugins, this just worked well for me. I want to quickly show you what I did here with these BVs.
To the left for me, right hand next to me, sway tap flesh for me. Look like a map with this yellow gold pressed on me. We gotta get money so we don't rest on me. You look good, but I swear she look.
So yeah, pretty much exactly the same settings will have been copy and pasted from the main verse in terms of the compression and the EQ there. Now for this main EQ that I've used, I have dipped some of the high end out. What I don't want is even more sibilance building up from the BVs. We don't need that super sharp high end on the BVs. I like them, particularly for this artist, I like them to kind of sit further back and add more depth and dimension rather than kind of adding more sheen and high end into the mix, which could just create clashes with the kind of sibilant sounds. So, and what I've done there is also just turn them down, obviously, compared to the lead vocal, and then I've panned them left and right. This is just the style that Tay likes to go with. He always sends me 2 layers of BVs, and I like to just pan them left and right. And I don't like to tighten them up too much because they do add a nice little bit of depth to his vocals. Let me just play you them with the beat as well and the main vocal.
Keep the rest of them. I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay.
Now we'll move on to what I did with in terms of reverbs and delays on this vocal. You'll see here I've got 3 things. First thing is a slap delay.
To the left for me, right hand next to me, sway tap flesh for me. Look like a map with this yellow gold pressed on me. We gotta get money so we don't rest on me. You look good, but I swear she look best on me. Free the real niggas lot, keep the rest of them. I've been trying to get.
So I've used the CLA-ish tape slap preset from the repeater plugin here to create the main thing of the actual slap delay itself. I've got it down at 147 milliseconds, which is quite tight. That's how I like it. And then I've got the spread on A here. I'm using these to kind of filter out some low end and some high end as well. These are the kind of low pass and high pass filters within the repeater plugin.
Trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way.
But then after that, I've also added this. So another infinity EQ where I'm doing a high pass and a low pass. So it's creating quite a mid-rangey kind of sound for this slap delay, which is what I like generally for a slap delay. And then after that, we've got a compressor here, just kind of squashing it.
The rest of them I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe,
that just helps it to be pushed back in the mix and, you know, not really standing out like it would be without that. Next thing is we have quarter note delay. So I'm going to mute the slap delay and just leave the quarter note delay in.
Little gold pressed on me. We gotta get money so we don't rest on me. You look good, but I swear she look best on me. Free the real niggas lot, keep the rest of them. I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days.
So you hear that just play out there. So I'm using again the repeater and I've got this on a quarter note. Spread off. Not too much feedback. Again, I'm using the high pass and the low pass here just to filter out the super lows and the highs. And then after that, we've got a few things going on. So I'm using this module 8. This is the first SSL plugin that we're using in this project. But again, this comes in the bundle, in the all access bundle with the Slate plugins. And that's why this is, you know, a great deal in my opinion. And on here, we're using this phaser effect and we're using a panner, so like a tremolo, where it's just kind of moving from left to right in the mix. Let me play you with soloed actually, and you can hear what this is doing.
Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay. She know I'm playing, but today I don't wanna play.
Yeah, so the phaser just to create a different texture for this delay. You know, nothing crazy going on, just a little bit of kind of depth to the delay. And then the panner, I don't know, I just like to do that. It just creates a little bit of width to the vocal, a little bit of movement, a little bit of ear candy. So I like to put a tremolo or a panner on my delays sometimes. After that, I'm dipping out some of the low mids here with an EQ. And then I've got a little bit of reverb as well at the end of this delay. So this is the Verb Suites Classics again. Not all the way wet, just up here about 25%. And yeah, dipping out some of the highs on this. But yeah, just to create a little bit more softness to this delay, basically, just to push it back in the mix.
Get money so we don't rest on me. You look good, but I swear she look best on me.
Now we'll move on down to this short reverb, which is the last thing that's on these vocals. And I don't always like to add reverb to rap vocals, but to be honest, for this track, you know, there's not a whole lot going on in the instrumental. It's not the busiest track in the world. So I think on a song like this, where the vocals are kind of, and also it's a kind of chilled out kind of song, you know, it's not right in your face. So I thought it worked on this particular song, you know, but it's definitely not necessary. But I liked it just to add a little bit of smoothness and softness and depth to these vocals.
I've been feeling like the player of the year, ain't nobody next to me. Probably rock this flash to the death for me. Only want the realest niggas to the left for me. Right hand next to me, sway tear flesh for me.
Yeah, so it's really low in the mix. You won't hear this at all when the beat's playing. It's just for that, like I say, that little bit of depth and kind of space to the vocals. As you see, I've dipped down here a lot of the mids, some of the highs. Not a long decay time at all. Added some width here. And that just sits low down in the mix. And then after I've EQ'd out some of the low mids and the highs as well from that reverb return. So yeah, that's pretty much the final sound of the main vocals and the BVs. So let me now play some of the second half of this verse so you can see how it sounds with the instrumental as well.
I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay. She know I'm playing, but today I don't wanna play. You love making me no bread, I got scared. They ain't know me back then, now they holiday. Guess the real back in style, like what Potter said.
Now you see here as well, we've got some ad-libs, and these are just basically little background parts that Tay's thrown in here. Little talking parts, little stabs and ad-libs, you know. And for that, we've done slightly different processing. So on the actual channel themselves, you'll see it's probably exactly the same as I did on the verses. Yep, looking pretty much the same. So again, there's no need. Once I've got the sound that I want for his sort of main vocal. There's no need for me to change that really on this channel side, at least the way that I'm working on this particular project, where the changes are really coming on this side. This allows me to basically just copy and paste that setting to all of the vocal channels in this and then work over here on my actual track stack or my bus for how I want that particular part to sound, you know? So I can have two channels like this that are basically processed the same, left and right, and then I'm doing any changes over here on this part. Now we'll open this up and see what's happening here. I think it's pretty much the same as the verse one. Yeah. Okay. So I've done different EQ settings here on these Adlibs.
Next, tell me. To the left for me. Yeah. Press on me.
Yeah, so as you see, I'm boosting a load of the mids here, taking down some of the highs and taking down a lot of the low end as well. So it's kind of creating that kind of radio, walkie-talkie, phone effect. But then what I've also used here to add another kind of dimension and a different sound is this murder melodies. Now, I know this is really supposed to be used more on instruments or beats or instrumentals or whatever, but I like to use it sometimes on Adlibs or on vocals where you just want to create a different effect. Let me show you what this is doing, bypassed and on.
On the way, on the way, on the way. I don't wanna stay, I don't wanna stay, I don't wanna stay.
So as you see here, there's various things going on. I literally just played around with these things. I think I pulled up a preset here, this dark and low preset, and then I just played around with all of these things. You know, there's different things going on here, a little bit of delay, a little bit of reverb, there's a high pass and a low pass up here, and just various little effects, a little bit of wobble. So various things going on just to create a different kind of sound and texture to the vocals, and I think it's worked pretty well on these Adlibs. I'll play you these with the verse now so you can get a feel for that. Let's go into the second verse here.
Every day with some flash, keeps no mileage, fast lane sliding. Boy, off the lock, we don't watch no prices. If it's 2 liters or less, we won't drive it. They mad at me, see him hating when we fly around. Preying them from higher ground, let him hear the tire sound. Used to walk around these ends that we're driving around. We're back then, we the flies now. I wasn't
So you see how it just creates that difference between them and the main vocal. And there's so many different ways that you can go with Adlibs. And, you know, it's always a question of, do I leave them raw? Do I leave them sounding like a normal vocal? Or do I process them differently? And most of the time I come down on the side of processing them differently just so they stand out separate to the main vocal, you know. And Tay also likes it, you know, he likes it like this. So that's how I decided to do it. One last little thing on the verse vocals before we move on to the chorus is this delay throw here, where I've created a separate channel and I've copy and pasted. I basically duplicated the verse lead channel up to here. I've left the EQ and I've changed the EQ, okay. But I've copied the same compression and everything settings from the lead vocal, but then I've used some filtering here. So I've done a high pass filter and somewhat of a low pass as well. So it's more like a radio-y sound that's being fed into the delay. So that's the first thing. Then we've got the delay, the repeater plugin on here, quarter note, of course, with the mix all the way up because we don't want the dry sound coming through on this because it's a duplicate. It's already here dry. So let's see what that's doing.
one's with us.
Yeah, so pretty much just a basic delay throw.
With us.
And then after that, again, I've used some reverb here just to kind of smooth it out and create a different texture to it.
Comes the fate long as the real ones with us.
But I always like to create a separate channel for this. You know, the cool thing about this is I can go through and just try things on this channel, you know, easily. So, you know, as an example, let me copy that up to there.
Rest of them I've been trying to get, I ain't slept in a couple days. Money put away, more money on the way. I need a bag for the summertime, call me Money May. She wanna chill, but babe, I don't wanna stay. She know I'm player, but today I don't wanna play. You love making me know.
That last one doesn't really work, but you get the idea. I can literally just drag and copy things up to here, like I like to do this with the outro of the verse.
Style like what Potter say.
So I much prefer to have a channel like that. Maybe it's my old-fashioned way of working from before I really knew anything and I was just messing around in my early days. This is how I always used to do it. Create another channel, put a delay on there with the wet signal all the way up and the dry signal all the way down, and then it allows you to just cut and paste things on there and just experiment and see how things sound.